was friends with a guy named Christopher Oleana. And what Christopher Oleana did was help to educate him on Yoruba culture. Because in America at that time, there were Cubans here predominantly who were doing the practices, but they didn't necessarily want to share it with the African Americans. Christopher Oleana liked the Oba, the first Oba, they were friends, so he decided to start to teach him and bring him into, they used to call them parties then, but a ceremony with the drums, and the Oba fell in love with it. And then later they went together to Matanzas, Cuba in 1959 to get initiated. And that's when the Oba got his priesthood. He came back with the Orisha to New York, and the Orisha carried him. And just basically walked him in his path. They had a big temple there, and he gathered a big following. They used to do parades and ceremonies in the middle of the street just to promote and show the culture. Because their ideology, they were all nationalists. And the ideology was, how are we going to really be nationalists and say what is black for one? That's not a race. That's not an ethnicity. That's a color.
Right.
You know, everybody else has their ethnicity. You know, all the Caucasians, they knew they were Irish, or they knew they were Scottish, or they had their holidays. And I remember the second Oba here was telling us that his father was telling him when he questioned his mother, like, why do all the white kids go out of town and have days off for holidays? Why don't we have any holidays? What are our holidays? So the ideology with the nationalists was to take it a step further than just saying we black, we conscious, and we want black rights. He didn't really believe in black rights because he said, when you have your own identity and your own culture, you don't need rights. That's it. Because you're entitled because it's yours. So the thrive then was to find African culture and go back to our roots and our history. So from New York, the idea then was to have land, to acquire land, because land is power, and with land we can do what we're doing here. You could create your own world. And that's what we did. Him, along with some of the first followers and supporters, they all came down here. Came down, well, the first Oyotunji, this is the second location. The first location was further down the road. And when they got there, it was trees, you know? And the locals used to laugh at it. They thought they were crazy. Because the northerners came down here and they down there in them bushes but they chopped this was all woods when they first got here. And they chopped down the woods. They used the woods to make houses. They used the woods to stay warm. They used the woods to build temples and shrines. Initially, all of the structures were trees. The posts, and now we have posts, you know, treated wood that we got from the lumber yards. But initially, when they didn't have the funds to do that, or the means as far as trucks and transportation, everything was trees. Everything was trees. And later got into cement and stucco.